Good morning. Today is day 56 of moving mountains beneath my feet. It's 75 days on our journey around the sun. There's 290 days left in the year, and this is episode 35. And so yesterday I was talking about gratitude. Then I did a long episode, a 50-minute episode on May the Love of People Find You on gratitude. And I just feel so much gratitude. It's such a beautiful morning today. And, I really had no idea what I was going to talk about, but I just feel so good. And I was like, well, I'm just going to let it flow. And so what's coming up for me is when you start to focus and think about gratitude, other things that you really want in your life start to show up. And what you think you want, I don't know if you've had this experience, but in my experience, the things that I've thought I wanted, or the level of something that I've wanted, when I can really feel into gratitude and operate more often in that space in my day, what ends up happening is just so much deeper and better than you could have ever imagined, right? It's like we have this idea of how good something can be. And I've learned in my experience that it's better than that. The connections that I have, the connection I have with my partner is better than I could have ever imagined, right? The friendships that I have here are better than I ever could have imagined. The people, the quality of people here. I can legit tell you that I have met people, even in this short period of time, here where I live specifically, there's something magical about here that draws some of the most amazing, incredible people. But even on this mountain, I climb up this mountain, and people that I meet at the top of the mountain, they're just the most impressive people. There's people that I look up to that are famous influencers, the top of their fields, millions and millions of followers. And personal friends of these people show up at the top of this mountain. Right? I've met people that are friends with my people that mentor me, that I learned from. It's just crazy what experiences happen. I never in my wildest dreams, when I was living what I would say was a necessary time, but a very mediocre existence in a place that I didn't want to live, which is where I was planted back in Houston, Texas, many, many years ago. Not that many. I left Houston in 2021, I believe. Yeah, so back in 2021 when I was in Houston. And, never would I have imagined how good and great my life could have become when I stepped into the scary parts of the unknown, right? When I moved I moved to a place that I didn't know. I followed impulses that I didn't know where they would lead me. And it really just turned out better than I could have ever imagined. And a lot of times we might fear, well, what if this bad thing happens? What if this happens? What if that happens? But what if it's better than you ever could have imagined, right? What if what you're scared of, what if what you're fearful of happening, what if the opposite happens, right? We're not programmed to believe or think that way. We're not programmed to feel or expect a best case scenario. But the more that I learn, and life is teaching me these very deep, nuanced lessons, the more that I learn, the more that I realize, hey, if I just learn to expect the best, right? I used to have this belief that I wanted to carry no expectations so that I would never be disappointed, because I was always disappointed, right? Because I always held high expectations of others, high expectations of myself, high expectations of things that would happen, and they didn't. And when they didn't happen, I'd be let down and so disappointed. And I really walked around with this really sad way of looking at the world, that I expect nothing, right? I don't expect anything good to happen, because that way I can't be disappointed. And I'm realizing that is such a sad way to live. And it really does draw more of those experiences to you. You're going to get more and more of that. And that's why that worldview was reinforced constantly, because that's what I was believing and thinking. And now that I'm shifting into believing and expecting, wow, well, if this turned out better than I could have ever imagined, then what else can turn out better than I can ever imagine? And I just have the openness for the possibility, right? It's possible that this turns out better than I ever could have dreamed of. And I'm always pleasantly surprised. And it's such a beautiful lesson that I'm learning that isn't learned easily. It isn't learned by listening to somebody talk about it. It's really learned by practicing. It's really learned by experiencing that thing. So maybe whatever you have going on in your life that may be causing you stress or worry or anxiety or some kind of form of negative feeling and emotion, what if you could entertain just for a moment the possibility? Like if you could just close your eyes and imagine for a moment, what if this turned out better than you ever could have imagined? What would that feel like? What would that look like? What would that be like for you to experience? And if you can tap into that, I promise you that you will almost certainly be surprised at what happens around that situation or around other situations. I'm learning that this is the way that makes my life work better versus the constant opposite, right? Versus always expecting something bad. When is this gonna, what's the catch? When is the pin gonna drop? Inevitably something is gonna go wrong, right? Things always go wrong. It really depends on how you're looking at it. But something always goes not according to plan. How do you respond when things don't go according to plan? Do you freak out? Do you let that thing derail you for your whole day? Do you obsess about it not going to plan? Or do you just allow whatever that was out of your control to happen and see where the rest of it takes you? See where the rest of your day takes you. Like oftentimes, things that I had planned that don't pan out exactly how I planned can, depending on my mood and my reaction, right, turn out better than I thought, right, or for the better, right? And so I'm just inviting you to consider a new possibility, right? The alternative is to continue to think the way that you've been thinking and feeling and just staying where you're at, right? And I just believe in growth. I just believe that maybe that word is not a good word, but I think it's really great and I really enjoy the process of growing, right? Not the hard parts of growing. It's not fun, but after I've done the growth, it's like, wow, like, dude, you made it through some crazy shit. Like you have persevered. Like, look at you. Like, look at where you've come from. Like, look at how far you've made it in such a short time. Like, look at the effect you're having on other people. Look at how you stepping out and following your impulses. These cute ass dogs running after their owners on this trail. Look at how what you have done with your life and how it's inspired others and lifted others up and gave others permission to stand up and speak their message and be more of themselves and let their light shine. And it's like, I'm fucking proud of myself. I'm proud of you, and you should find things to be proud of yourself for, because you're not where you used to be. No matter where you are, you're not where you used to be. And I believe that life is always expanding, right? We're always expanding in one way or the other. Unless you're just dead set on not growing, you're probably growing in some form or fashion. Especially if you're listening to this, you're definitely growing. Not saying that because I'm speaking into your life that you're growing. I'm saying that you're listening to someone else talk about their life and you're open to the possibilities of learning and expanding your horizons. And so that makes you someone who looks for growth. Anyway, I'm almost at time. If no one's told you today, you fucking matter. I love you. Thank you for listening. Have a beautiful, amazing, blessed day. Blessings.